Lena had grown used to silence. Not the comforting kind that comes with peace, but the empty kind, the kind that echoes off the walls of a house too big for one person's emotions. Eric had been distant for months now, maybe years. Business trips that turned into week-long absences, dinner conversations reduced to grunts and nods. At first, she'd tried. She'd planned date nights, wore his favorite perfume, even booked a couple's retreat he never showed up for. Eventually, she stopped trying. She stopped caring. Or at least, that's what she told herself most evenings. She came home from the hospital exhausted. The wine bottle was always there before she'd even kicked off her shoes. It dulled the ache. Not just the physical exhaustion, but the emotional hollowness. She didn't drink to forget. She drank to feel something, anything at all. Lately, even that wasn't working. Eric's son, Jason, had moved back in a few weeks ago after finishing college. He needed a place while he job hunted, and Lena didn't object. Honestly, she barely noticed him at first. He was polite, quiet, kept to himself. He made an effort to be respectful, which she appreciated. But they rarely spoke more than a few words in passing. It was easier that way. That night had been particularly brutal. A patient had died during her shift, a young woman not much older than Jason. Lena had done everything right, and it still hadn't been enough. She came home, kicked off her heels, and poured 3 glasses of wine back to back. No dinner. No shower. Just silence and alcohol. She didn't hear Jason come in. She had no idea how long he'd been standing there before she noticed him, eyes wide, watching her mumble incoherently to herself on the couch. She felt embarrassment first, then something else, confusion, maybe. He didn't look disgusted. He didn't scold her. He didn't walk away. He sat beside her. Lena didn't remember everything she said. Just fragments. I'm tired of being invisible. He doesn't see me anymore. I feel like a stranger in my own life. She hadn't meant to say any of it out loud, but it kept pouring out like spilled wine. And Jason listened. Not with pity, not with discomfort, but with something closer to understanding. There was a moment, a long, impossible moment, where silence settled between them again, but it felt different. He reached for her hand. Maybe just to comfort her. Maybe not. She didn't pull away. His thumb brushed against her skin, slow, intentional. Her breath caught in her throat. She looked at him, and something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Need. Confusion. All at once, she jerked her hand back. Not because it was wrong, she already knew it was, but because it was too easy to let it continue. She stood up, muttering something about going to bed. He didn't follow her. He didn't say a word. But that moment, small and quiet as it was, burrowed deep under her skin. The next morning was strange. They passed each other in the hallway. A quick nod. No words. She made coffee while he scrolled through job listings on his laptop. Normal, quiet, distant. But her heart was still racing. Not from what happened, because, technically, nothing had, but from what almost did. She told herself it was the wine. The stress. The grief from work. She needed to get herself together. She told herself it would never happen again. That it was nothing. But the truth was, it had been something. And she knew it. Lena couldn't ignore how differently she felt around Jason now. It wasn't attraction, not at first. It was awareness. The way he looked at her, the way he listened, there was something there. She tried to shake it off, to blame the wine, the moment, the loneliness. But it lingered. She started noticing the little things. How he stood a little closer in the kitchen. How his compliments sounded more personal. How his eyes lingered longer than they used to. He wasn't shy like before. There was a quiet boldness growing in him, and it made her feel something she hadn't felt in years. Eric missed their anniversary. He didn't forget. He just didn't bother. He sent a generic text, "Happy anniversary. Busy day. We'll celebrate soon." That night, Lena sat at the table with a bottle of wine and an untouched meal she made for both of them. He didn't even call. Jason came home late and found her still dressed in the red blouse Eric used to love. She didn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He just sat down across from her. They talked about nothing. Weather. Music. Childhood memories. And somewhere between laughter and silence, Lena's voice cracked. "I don't think he loves me anymore." Jason said nothing. He just looked at her like she was someone worth grieving over. Like her pain meant something. That look broke her. She reached across the table without thinking. Her fingers brushed his. He didn't move. Her pulse quickened. There was no logic in what she felt, only heat and closeness and a desperate hunger for comfort. She leaned forward slowly, uncertainly, and Jason met her halfway. Their lips barely touched before he pulled back. "This isn't right," he said, his voice low. "You're married." Shame hit her instantly. She stood, humiliated, muttering apologies. Jason left the room without looking back, and Lena stood there, heart racing, unable to breathe. She wanted to hate him for stopping it. For not wanting her enough. But mostly, she hated herself for wanting it in the first place. She avoided him the next day. Locked herself in the bedroom until she had to leave for work. Every sound he made in the house felt like it echoed inside her head. Her skin burned with the memory of almost touching. Almost kissing. Almost destroying everything. Eric came home 2 days later, stayed for a night, left again before dawn. He didn't ask how she was. Didn't notice the change in her mood. Didn't see the distance in her eyes. All he said was, "Don't forget to pay the gardener," and walked out. Lena stood in the hallway, holding a half-cold mug of coffee, and realized she didn't miss him anymore. She missed who he used to be. Who she used to be when he cared. Jason apologized later that week. Said he shouldn't have let it get that far. She nodded, pretending to agree, pretending to feel guilty. But underneath the words, a spark still burned. One that no apology could put out. She started staying up later. Waiting to hear Jason's footsteps down the hallway. She wore softer fabrics. Let her hair down more often. He noticed. Even when he didn't say anything, she knew he noticed. The silence between them wasn't awkward anymore. It was charged. Dangerous. Every word carried weight. Every glance hinted at something they both refused to name. Lena told herself it was harmless. That nothing had happened. That she just needed attention, affection, acknowledgement. She told herself it would pass, but deep down, she already knew it wouldn't.